Brian Fallon, his album Sleepwalkers, and he's a guitarist and singer for the New Brunswick, New Jersey band Gaslight Anthem. So New Brunswick, New Jersey in the house, Jersey pride. Here we go. And
I actually just read on the Wikipedia his band Gaslight Anthem had their same show at a place I played in almost the same time.
Okay.
The Only Game in Town in Somerville, New Jersey, in early 2006.
Yeah.
My band also played The Only Game in Town in Somerville in 2006. But anyway.
He started the group in 2006, the man that Drew was speaking of. And originally they were a punk rock version of Bruce Springsteen's sound. But by 2014's album, Get Hurt, that album was more mellow. So they became a modern version of Bruce Springsteen.
They went from almost Bruce Springsteen to just Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. In 2016, they released he released his first solo album, Painkillers, which we kind of trashed and tore apart in the review due to its dull heartland rock sound and retro blue collar lyrics about Mojo Hands and Steve McQueen. Basically, he took everything that sucks about Gaslight Anthem and put it on one album. So, with anything, at least I could look forward to all over this latest record as well. Look, just because I'm from Jersey doesn't mean I'm going to kiss every musician's ass that comes from like this tri-state area for making a subpar album. I'm talking to you, Monster Magnet. And Dionne Warwick, don't think I'm not looking at you too. I'm waiting for you to put out a classic album as well. I was pleasantly surprised by the upbeat opening track of this album, If Your Prayers Don't Get to Heaven. Like, cause I love the beat mixed with like the backing organs and like the soulful vocals from Fallon. I like that. And B, the song could have ended after 3.5 minutes instead of like adding that like repetitive like instrumentation at the end. So I didn't like that part. Let me get that straight. So it's like I like that way that song had like the sweet guitar licks that made like a great callback to Gaslight Anthem, because I like Gaslight Anthem in the middle of their career a lot.
I had a feeling you did, because I don't know Gaslight Anthem that well. I only know a handful of songs.
Yeah.
I know more about their fans than anything. They are
Die Hard, man.
Well, but they're also punks over the age of 30 that aren't that punk anymore.
Yeah, it's basically like you got your metalheads that need like a softer sound. You got your punk rocks that need a softer sound.
I had a feeling that you might be into Gaslight Anthem.
I'm not in. I guess
you
I'm
fit the demographic.
Yeah. Of course, you get some like songs with like working class lyrics, like the track "Come Wander with Me," which begins with like him talking about his mother being a single parent and growing up at the shore, and you get like songs about how well he's influenced and identifies with traditional jazz musicians, like the track Etta James. So yes, Brian Fallon still continues to milk every Springsteen influence he can.
That's what I found so interesting, is that song Etta James is just about how much he loves jazz or whatever.
Yeah.
It just sounds like Bruce Springsteen from the Jerry Maguire soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's like if you like jazz so much, then why don't you play some fucking jazz? Like, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I guess he couldn't afford the heroin, so that's why. I think one of the positives is how there is like a blend. You might disagree with this, but hear me out. There's a blend of like different sounds and genres on this album, slightly. So like while Proof of Life and like the last song, See on the Other Side, are like typical like acoustic like driven like Americana tunes you'd expect from someone who probably grew up chasing like the album Born and Run with like the John Mellencamp album Scarecrow. Like a track like Neptune is really what I want to talk about, because it's got like a new wave like Elvis Costello like vibe to it, and mostly that's due to like the bass lines and like the organs. Like you straight up hear the Elvis Costello influence in that song. So it's like, all right.
I disagree. I feel like
what? It sounds like Elvis Costello, dude.
Be that as it may, I feel like he tries to branch out a little bit and like, I'm gonna bring in some Elvis Costello influence. I'm gonna bring in a little doo-wop influence. I'm gonna not maybe do Born in the USA for every single song. I'm gonna do that fucking Jerry Maguire song on this one song.
Yeah,
but it's so superficial. Every song kind of sounds the same.
Okay, I see that.
they're all very similar.
But that's all we can ask for from this guy.
And the thing that bothers me the most is he does this almost every song, or maybe like every other song, is where the song starts and he's playing a riff, and then the riff slows down and he just strums each chord once. It's like, and then goes to the chorus. Stop doing that. That's annoying. It was interesting the first time he did it. It's not interesting when you do it every single time.
Well, okay. Well, that's all we can ask from the man. That's all we can ask from him. I'm sorry. I lower my expectations heavily for this man, and I'm like, okay, this is not the same song every time. When he does something, a moment that's like different, I'm like, all right, I'll give you credit. So that's why, and plus I like Elvis Costello, and we got to give him credit because this album was recorded in New Orleans, which is obvious on the title track because he brings in like the Preservation Hall Jazz Band who add like the brass instrumentation on that song and give the track of the big easy ragtime treatment that it needs. So give me credit for that, Drew.
That was my problem. Another problem I had with this album, the instrumentation. There's a lot of it, but you really kind of need to listen to it with headphones on to really get that.
Yeah.
There's so many instruments on every single song almost, but you wouldn't know that if you were just listening to it. You can pick them out, but it's just kind of, it's really subtle.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to agree with you. Like, I really actually made a point to say how happy I am that, this album is average. And you're saying how much it sucks as average sound. And I'm like,
don't applaud somebody for being average.
Yeah, you're right. He did average stuff, and I'm mostly everything I'm praising him for is like moments, and everything other than that, you get the average Heartland rock sound that you'd expect from a Gaslight Anthem album. Now,
honestly, I stopped taking notes halfway through this album because I was like, what's the point? I was forcing myself to take notes on these songs because it was just like, you're going to say the same thing about the next song. It doesn't matter.
This album is actually who's helping him on backing vocals and guitar is Ian Perkins, who is not only plays with Gaslight Anthem when they tour, but he's also in the side project with Fallon called The Horrible Crows. So I see like when they do like the backing vocals, they almost sound identical, but they really play off each other well if they're trying to like, do the average sound that they do.
Okay, say that again, but slow it down a little bit. When they're doing the background vocals, they almost sound the same.
Yeah.
But if they try, they can sound different. That's essentially what you said.
I don't know if he can. I don't know what Ian sounds like when he's talking, but when the other guy comes in, I know for the fact that's not Brian overdubbing himself. I can tell it's two different people, but he picks up
it's so similar
Brian's
that it doesn't
range.
Even matter.
Yeah.
That's not something to be applauded about.
You're
really reaching. You really want to like this album.
I really want to.
You're just looking for the good in it. You're like, come on, I don't want to trash this guy again.
As a Jersey resident, it's like, maybe it's me, but maybe it's not.
No, and that's the problem with living in New Jersey. People are so prideful for no fucking reason, and there are so many. It's just like, oh well, obviously you're into Bruce Springsteen. Why? Why am I into Bruce Springsteen? Because I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah,
there's plenty of music in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And for every one good Bruce Springsteen song, there's like 10 more that are garbage. Okay? You see this a lot. With Bouncing Souls is another band where I'm just like lukewarm on them. I'm like, they're all right, I guess. There's a bunch of other bands that do basically the same thing they do. But in New Jersey, they're a fucking institution. You go to flea markets, and they just have like, there'll be people with tables just selling Bouncing Souls merchandise and collectibles. And it's like, why? Because they're from New Jersey? Are you serious? Is that what's most important? I think you're getting swept up in that a little bit. When everybody around you says, well, Gaslight Anthem is fucking hot. Ask any of those people, well, it's from New Jersey. Like, I feel like that's the only
But I'm trying to fight it. You see I'm being critical a little bit.
Yeah, but you got to fight it harder.
Okay.
You got to get it. They have you in their grasp. You got to get out of it, man.
So I want to hear your rating then. You have
all right, I'll go first.
Yeah.
There's something alluring about this album, despite it not being especially good. It's somewhat bland, definitely generic, and there's a sameness that weaves through every song. With all that being said, I didn't actively dislike it. It's catchy enough, even though none of the hooks really stuck with me, and no song stood out from the pack. There's something about his raspy voice that sticks out and is enjoyable, and the instrumentation is thick and varied, even if it's way too subtle most of the time. If you're an aging punk who needs to listen to something while you mow the lawn of your sellout pad, or you're a fan of Springsteen, or maybe even Bob Dylan, then I'd recommend it. All others need not apply. Very lukewarm, download it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, like, keeping in mind, I understand that he's not the greatest, but the album raises the question. I'm not a Gaslight Anthem fan, but if he's doing what Gaslight Anthem does, the question I have to ask is, why does he do solo albums if he's gonna sound like Gaslight Anthem?
Good question to ask.
Just do that. Anyway, whereas the last album sounded like boring Gaslight Anthem B-sides, this album sounds like tolerable Gaslight Anthem A-sides. Could be. He's not breaking new ground whatsoever, like what you're saying. And I agree, not breaking any ground. But it's some of his best songwriting in recent years. And for fans, it should help fill the void until his band Gaslight Anthem records another Why We Love Bruce Springsteen record. So, yeah, it's okay. I say download it too. I agree with you.
I can tear this album apart. But overall, I mean, should you skip it? I don't know. If you're into this type of then no, download it.
There's something
Don't
for
buy
you.
it, though.
Yeah.
It's not going to blow your mind or anything. It's not a good album. It's an all-right album.
Yeah, so let us know what you think in the comments. If you heard the new Brian Fallon album, what you liked or hated.
You almost said Brian Fellows, didn't you?
Brian Fellows. I was almost going to say Gaslight Anthem, honestly. But I forgot, you got to decide.
Gaslight Anthem. I mean Brian Fellows. Brian Fallon.
Yeah.